Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to another video, and I'm doing an experiment now. Before anybody jumps into the comments and tells me this is terribly unscientific and whatever, it's just a bit of fun. I'm not trying to write a paper on it, okay? It's about as scientific as religion, okay? It's just a bit of fun. But what I want to talk about and what I want to look at today is mentality. So, we all know mentality. We all love-hate mentality. Me personally, I think they're completely named wrong. Because literally the first line of the balance says, this is arguably the most important of all match mentalities. By carefully balance risk versus reward. So you could argue that it's actually like, this is just more risky as you get more attacking and more defensive. So, but I want to see, again, unscientific, I want to see how these different tactics do, or how a tactic does with just different mentalities, changing nothing else. So I've taken a mid-table Aston Villa side. We are with 0 transfers. Nobody was allowed transfers. We are predicted 11th. Proper mid-table side with a good... I picked them because I wanted to use Phil Coutinho before he eventually goes away. A very basic tactic. This is just a control possession default tactic, and I'm going to play the first 10 games of the season. How many times? 7 times, because, you know, I hate myself, clearly. Each one on a different mentality, never changing it. So it's like if I'm going very defensive and we go 1-0 down, I'm not suddenly going to go attacking. This is just a bit of fun, and I'm just going to do 10 games. Now, I've got a main first team, and I'm going to try and stick to that main first team. I'm going to rotate a little bit naturally and stuff and make subs, but I'm going to keep it as even as possible. The only time I'm going to sort of save scum is if we get like a horrendous injury to the 2 strikers in one of the saves, because that will dramatically affect the results. And I'm going to play the first 10 games of the season. We're not going to worry about the League Cup. And I want to know how this team is going to do on the different things. I'm going to sort of make a judgment. I'm going to guess what's going to happen here. I'm going to guess as to what is going to be the most effective way of playing. Now, the way I've always known mentality is kind of essentially, very basically, don't pick faults in it, is the more favourite you are to win a game, the more you can generally go a bit more attacking, go a bit more gung-ho, as we used to call it. There's different factors to that, like sometimes if you're playing longer football, like long ball football, sort of Tony Pulis-esque sort of long football, you might prefer defensive, even if you're great and stuff like that. But this is not what this is about. Let's not get caught up in the details. So we are going to do, I'm going to say the best, we're a solid mid-table team with a solid sort of pressing tactic. I think balanced will prove to be the winner. You can have a guess in the comments. Don't cheat. Don't watch the video and then go back and comment like you're a genius, all right? We all know. And then I would say, like, cautious. Maybe even defensive before positive. Like, it's going to be these 3. It should be these 3 if, like, all other things equal, we're a solid mid-table team, probably the best. But I'm going to say balanced. But I'm fascinated. If it comes out very defensive is the best way to play this controlling possession, a mid-table team tactic, then I have run out of ideas of how to play Football Manager. I just give up. So, it's going to take a little bit of time. I won't obviously bore you with the results. We'll just sort of jump ahead to the end of each 10 games, even have a little recap, and then move on to the next one, right? So, let's if my clothes changed, don't worry about it. Just imagine me as Lady Gaga. You know, I just like an outfit change during my set. So we've done our first 10 games on very defensive. Obviously, the main bit will be like nearer the end when we sort of compare the different versions. But overall, not too bad. It's a tricky run to begin with. We had Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool, but we played all right. We didn't, as you'd expect, going very defensive against a better side makes more sense. And we did smash a couple of teams. Danny Ings doing bits as he is. Again, lost against a good side. But overall, the results aren't abnormal, like I'd say. Obviously, position in the league doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. We're gonna look into sort of points scored, goal difference, goals scored, goals against, XG, pass completion, all that sort of stuff at the end. But overall, mid-table side predicted to come 11th, I think, are 11th after 10 games with some difficult, teams to play against. I don't know why the word team just disappeared out of my head. That's because I've got to play like 70 games. I'm not just instant resulting stuff. We're going through them, doing it properly. So, yeah, not bad start. Now let's check defensive. I think. Let's look now. I think because of the difficult run, I think going defensive will be overall slightly worse. But then am I saying that it's always going to be worse and very attacking is going to be... I'm going with it. Defensive is going to be worse. So, let's see how defensive done. It's bad. I feel like I could have been sacked. We only won one game. So, the tricky start was, equally as tricky. Didn't get any results against the big sides, but then we slipped up a couple more times where we picked up points previously. Again, won the Carabao Cup second round. We're focusing on the silverware this season. But overall, bad. I'm not going to try and remember the exact goals and score. We'll look at that at the end. But yeah, not good. Okay, I was right, but if it's this, if it carries on, then I don't see how it can possibly get worse all the way to attacking. So let's try again. Okay, so cautious is done, and I've got to say, and this is why it's important not only to not holiday for that sort of stuff, but actually to pay a bit of attention to the games, despite, repeating the same 10 fixtures 7 times in a row. This felt, just watching the game, it felt a lot better. We felt more in control. I'm not sure the goals and the goal points and all that sort of stuff, but it felt, if I was doing it, I'd be like, okay, I can see some promise here, guys. Let's not change it. The weirdest thing about playing these games when you... Like, mentality is one of my go-tos. If we need to, I feel like, we go one goal down and I'll go attacking or positive or whatever. So not being able to touch that it hurts my brain. But we, solid performance, some good results. We drew against Man City, but lost against the Chelsea and Liverpool. Picked up some draws. Not conceded as many, I don't think. But so if I had this team and I had this tactic, there's one other thing I learned that I'll tell you in a minute. With the sort of, pressing, short passing system with this team, I'd go balanced. I think I'd go balanced. Maybe cautious, but more likely balanced or even positive if I thought we were, playing well and it was all gelling. So I think the next one is going to be the best. This is where I get proved horribly wrong. The other thing I learned is Tyrone Mings is awful. And I know if you're an Aston Villa fan, you already know this. But in the game, he's not bad. He's just awful. He's just every time. Doesn't matter what mentality. It's not going to save him. He's just not very good. Right, on to balance. This is going to be the best one. Confidence. Okay, we finished balanced, and I think I filmed the rest yesterday, so my memory, I'm old, right? I have no recollection. I think this is the best. It felt like the best when I was watching the games. We did get thumped thoroughly by Tottenham. We got a really good draw against Chelsea. Man City just destroyed us. But it went a bit wrong, but I still think it's one of the better ones. Right, now let's go a bit more attacking, shall we? I think it's safe to say, with my unquestionable scientific method, that positive is the worst mentality. Yeah, started off all right, had a banging game against Brighton. And then, bottom of the league. So, positive's the worst. Can't argue with that. The facts speak for themselves. So going attacking, I thought, okay, we're going to get goals, we're going to concede goals, we're playing some big teams early on, we might get smashed. And actually, interestingly, we did lose against the Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool. Man City especially, man. Every time we play, I'm having to play Man City over and over again, and this is not a fun experience. This tactic will never work against Manchester City. But, actually pretty even games all the time. We had chances, they had chances. So I was expecting to maybe score one more and concede maybe 10 more. But actually it was all right. But then obviously still losses, but we picked up some results at the end there. I think I'm going to guess I think very attacking is going to be horrendous. I think we'll win a couple of big games, maybe against like a Wolves or something, or a Fulham or anything. But I think the big three will eat us alive. Well, very attacking went about as well as I'd expected. Playing Man City, we lost 3-1. Incredibly flattering. They had an XG well over 4 without any penalties and stuff. I think it was like a parting gift from Tyrone Mings. We were actually getting a good result against Tottenham. It was 1-0, then like 70th minute, they equalised. I'm like, okay. Trouble is, I'm very attacking. You know, I probably would have settled for a draw at that point. And then Tyrone Mings, 88th minute. Bosch's one in at the wrong end to give us the loss. And yeah, so that's not gone well. Lot of scroll down there. 8 points, not too bad. Right, now I'm going to take a bit of time, get some pretty graphics. Not pretty. I don't want to overpromise. Get some graphics up on the screen and we'll talk through to see if we can make any sense of this scientific shit show. I think this video deserves a like and a subscribe if you're new, because I've just had to play Man City over and over again, getting pumped. Not in a fun way. So, like the video. So before we get into some fascinating data, my mum would be so proud I've actually used the data hub for something, which is great. Obviously, I've run the simulation we did the first 10 games on all the different mentalities. It's not scientific. We would need to probably do 10,000 plus simulations to get a decent answer. So if there's any like data analysts or scientists out there, I apologise. But from this point forward, whatever we see, whatever patterns we see, we are going to treat them as scientific fact, proven fact, okay? So one thing we can say for certain with these tables is that if you want to score more goals, you need to go very defensive, okay? You need to go in the most defensive you can, and it's going to guarantee you goals. Obviously, if you want to be the most defensive and concede less, you need to go balanced. So as we can see, there's not a theme. If you can actually find any tangible usefulness, I'm really not sort of selling my own video here, out of this video, good luck. But overall, we struggled entirely, pretty much in every save. As you can see, we were 3 times in the relegation zone after 10 games, obviously with a very difficult start. But, like I said, if you want to score goals, very defensive is the way to go. Yeah, that's how I thought that would work. So this is the general performance tab. There's lots of stats here if you want to pause the video and have a propaganda. If you do spot any themes, because I'm not going to go through everything because I don't want a 40-minute video, but if you do actually spot anything that kind of makes sense or that you think you can explain, please do leave it in the comments. I just want to go through a couple of things. Shots per game. Now, I would assume, I'm going to compare these live. I've not really looked at them. I would assume that the more attacking you go, the more shots you're going to have. The quality of the shots might be less, but generally speaking, the more shots you're going to have. So let's have a look. 11.9 for the very attacking, 12.5 for the attacking, but then it drops to 9.7 positive, 9.1, 8.7, 7.6, 8.5. I think the very defensive is the outlier because we did have that massive result. So, but I think that's a theme, right? Makes sense. More attacking, more shots. Again, quality might be terrible. I want to see pass completion. Now, pass completion, I would assume that the more... Because if you think of mentality as not just attacking, but more risky, I would say the more attacking you are, the lower your percentage of pass completion. So, 84%. Then it goes up to 85%. Makes sense. 86. Okay, this is on. 86%. 87%. 86% again. 85%. Okay. Oh, that's fascinating. It goes up all the way, which you'd expect, to balanced. But then as you get more defensive, is it because they're sitting back further and therefore the passes forward might need to be longer? Let me know if you've got any theories around this. And you can look at some of the other stuff there. Expected goals against. Expected goals is a bit wobbly in real life and very much so in the game. But it gives you a better idea than, say, looking at 10 games and just seeing how many points and how many goals you scored. Because remember, we could play Man City, get absolutely battered and fluke a 1-0. which would really skew the stuff, right? So expected goals per game, I'd expect, let's go, expected goals per game would be higher. I'm a genius. More attacking, 1.23, 1.3. Okay, goes down, 0.6, 0. Okay, and again, this has gone up because I think that's the weird outlier, but that's a general trend downwards. Makes sense. Sorry, I needed a drink. Expected goals against, obviously, I feel like is the other way. You're going to concede more goals. 2.19, 1.64, 1.64, 1.38, 1.05, 1.23, and 1.38. Okay, there's some logic in it. I'm glad it's not just random, because otherwise you're just clicking buttons, essentially. But there's one more thing that I want to show you that's, like I said, if you need to pause this, let me know if you find anything looking in a bit more detail. But there's one more screen I want to show you, or maybe two. I can't remember. Leave it. I'm old. So this is the defensive actions when I was clicking through the data hub for the first time. Some of it's good in data hub, some of it just seems random or not right, and some of it's missing, like set pieces. But this is the defensive actions, so like tackles and, you know, head away and blocks and stuff like that. And I would assume that my defensive actions would get, the more attacking we are, the more defensive actions we make further up the field, the high press, taking more risks and stuff. It's kind of pointless what I've done here because it's pretty similar. So, but I made it and it took me half an hour, so I'm just including it. If you do spot something, let me know. But yeah, let's move on to the last screen. So to finish off with, we're going to look at possession. And this graph is one of those scatter graphy things. I think that's the term, isn't it? A scatter graph. Ideally, you want to be top left, right? You frequently win the ball and you keep the ball, essentially. So Man City, the big teams are going to be more towards the left. As you can see, it's very hard to do that. I would assume the first three make really good sense because more attacking means we're going to frequently win the ball because we're sort of taking risks. We're going in for tackles that maybe they're 40-60s. We're going in and we're winning the ball. But also we're losing it more because we're trying riskier passes. We're trying more forward balls, etc. So this first three makes complete sense. And then the balanced drops right down. That's weird. And then as we can see, as we get more defensive, we're stuck in this bottom left, which makes total sense. We're infrequently winning the ball, and we're sort of decent in possession because we are literally playing safer. So I think it's not bad. Because I've always wondered with mentality of what it actually does. And like I said before, I think it's worded maybe wrongly and needs to be redone a little bit. But what we can say with certainty from my incredibly scientific process is that if you want to score more goals in any formation, let's just go with that, in any formation, is that you need to go very defensive. That may sound counterintuitive, but, you know, the facts prove themselves, right? There we go, my friends. That was my bit of fun, just a silly experiment. But, you know, actually, I quite enjoyed it. I've got all the save files. I might go and delve a little deeper. If you do spot anything, little trails that actually make sense, let me know in the comments. Thank you very much. This took about 2.5 days to make, which is probably not worth my time. I've got to be honest. Not worth it. So if you could subscribe to the channel if you're new and like a video, and also if you've got any ideas for future random videos, please do let me know. I did a in real life Football Manager video yesterday that people seem to really enjoy. It just had, because it was a thing in the game that pissed me off, so I just thought, that'd be fun. And people want me to make it a series, and I've got lots of ideas, and people suggested great ideas, so that will become a series. I will probably, maybe on Friday or something, let you guys know my exact plans going forward for the channel for the next, say, year or so. I'll let you know. But all good. It's all good, and I'm enjoying it. Good experiment. It's my first experiment in ages, and it was about as pointless as all my other experiments. So, you know, keeping the theme. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. This took me so long. It's so not worth it. So not worth it. I'm wasting my time.